So, hello everyone. My name is Mihai Ciurea. I'm CTO at Soundstack for a bit more than 1 year. I spend a lot of time in the audio industry. So I was working in the audio streaming and digital ad insertion for about a bit more than 10 years. First, a bit about Soundstack. We are providing a full circle audio in one platform, starting from hosting and delivery of streaming and podcast, reporting and insights of the podcast delivery and streaming, and also advertising and monetization. So this is what we're gonna bring to our topic today. I'm planning to give you an overview of a kind of new functionality of HLS, HLS Interstitial. I say kind of new because it was introduced in 2021, so it's not new anymore. But the support around that is not yet everywhere. So this is why I think in this group it's a good opportunity to talk a bit about it. So we'll start with a bit of history of dynamic ad insertion and why is this complicated and why HLS Interstitial may help a lot, how it's working HLS Interstitial, and a bit about player support. So dynamic ad insertion, when I started doing that, it was a huge challenge to choose between server side or client side. And obviously, both of them had different challenges. If we are looking at the server side, we can't use Icecast anymore. Yeah, so we need to have a streaming server that is supporting dynamic ad insertion, and that streaming server will have to do a session management. So we won't be able to just broadcast the audio, the same audio everywhere like Icecast is doing. We also have to do ad impression and inventory reporting. So that's basically printing money. So it is not something you really want to have in a streaming server. Also nice feed management. So the ability to close the ad breaks and start the audio content after the ad break, because we know that the ads usually are not equal in size with the placeholder. And also this have to be done for thousands of listeners in the same time. Yeah. So there are streaming servers that are able to do that. We're able to offer that, but it's challenging. Yeah. On the client side, we are not able to do this with every player. Yeah. So the player that is doing client side ad insertion needs to implement VAST. And VAST needs to be implemented bespoke with every SSP that the player is connecting. So if you want to implement VAST, then you'll have to do integration with every SSP. Then the player will have to do reporting, which again, it's printing money. So it's complicated to have that information on a player, and this may generate legal issues if you have problems with the reporting. Also the same, there are some issues with buffer management and also ad break detection. And mostly on client side, we're doing insertion, not replacement. So on the client side, we're not able to replace a huge content of audio. It's more complicated, so most of the players are doing just insertion. So adding content and increasing delay from real time. Now, we truly believe that every publisher should have access to a tech solution and being able to monetize their content. Yeah, so this is what HLS Interstitial, in my opinion, is bringing in this industry. So it's making it available for everyone. I imagine everyone is familiar with how HLS it's working, and what HLS Interstitial it's adding, basically in the media playlist of HLS, it's adding one more playlist, which is very easy. It's having some metadata here that is defining how the insertion is done. and on this URL, the player will continue to get the same HLS. Yeah, you should just call this URL, and we're gonna get ads in the same way as getting the stream. No VAST, no digital ad insertion streaming server. It's just a pure HTTP connection, the same HLS protocol, but to another URL. Yeah, so why is this amazing is that the other URL can point to audio SSP. Yeah, and SoundStack Audio SSP is able to deliver that. And what we are doing, basically, we are isolating the whole functionality of digital ad insertion in audio SSP. The audio SSP needs to do reporting and its job to do that, and is verified, and well, plenty of tests. Yeah, all the audio SSP in this world have a very good management of inventory and impressions, and are making sure that the impressions are amazing accurate. Yeah, and then keep the streaming server as clean as possible. The streaming server doesn't have to build a session for each listener, doesn't have to handle the session management. Yeah, so it may behave the same as a plain IceCast, or not IceCast, the streaming server that is supporting HLS like Wowza or anything else. Yep. Now, it's amazing that with Interstitial, you are able to do insertion and replacement just by this small argument, yes, that is specifying the placeholder duration. There are also some arguments in the HLS Interstitial that tell you how to close the ad break, yes, so it may be a bit difficult to close the ad break at exact when the placeholder is ending, so to make sure you are not you will not cut from the music that follows and so on. So it's having some options there, but it's amazing that allows replacement and also insertion in the live stream. Here, obviously, we're gonna increase the delay from real time. Now to resume, why is this amazing is that we have a streaming server that doesn't have to care about ad insertion. The client doesn't have to implement any VAST, should just play the standard HLS protocol. The impression reporting is not in the player or in the server responsibility. This needs to be done by the audio SSP. So all that functionality, all that complex functionality of ad monetization is isolated into one component, and logically makes much more sense to have that in a SSP or ad server that it's able to respond instead of a VAST call to respond with that plain HLS playlist. There is more info at this URL from Apple. Yeah, so all those options are explained in detail, and you can see what actually you can do with HLS Interstitial. The player support, so right now Apple AV player, so the one that is running on iOS mobile, is fully supporting Interstitial, so we were able to test all the options possible and to observe the functionality, and this is why I'm a bit impressed about that, and I realize how much it's simplified. I see that the support for Interstitial is on the top priorities. For HLSGS was just upgraded to on top priority, so 1 month ago, so probably they will start soon implementing the support. ExoPlayer, it's also having this in the roadmap, and most of the open source players and the major players of for HLS have this in the roadmap. And that's it. If there are any questions.
Yes. Ooh, 1 second. Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. My question for you is, do you have any feedback for us on HLS and using interstitial in Liquidshop typically?
No. I mean, I don't think we used HLS with Liquidshop. Right now we're using it for IC streaming, and we're doing the chunking on our side. So we're heavily using Liquidshop, mostly for Live 365 platform, and then it's used mostly for transcoding and
Okay.
follow.
Yeah. Thank
Is
you.
there a question if the actual stream continue to play while the ad is playing, is there any check to ensure it can't be circumvented by the client? So there are multiple options. Interstitial may play over the content, or it can't create a gap. So the stream will stop, the ads will play, and then will continue the stream. So this is why I said you can do insertion or you can do replacement. In case of replacement, what I've seen that the Apple Player is doing is just lowering the volume of the placeholder a lot. So it's not actually removing that content, it's just lowering the volume. It is not audible, so you are not really able to hear it, but that's it. So the streamer, yes. So the question is, sorry, Mihai, I have one. How do you set those from the streamer point of view? Can a streamer presently allocate a NOT point? So indeed, this is the streaming server needs also to support interstitial, but it's way less complicated than that ad insertion actually. So there are streaming servers being able to support interstitial. Our streaming server is able to support that. I know that Media Tailor is able to support it for video. So you may configure different triggers that will trigger actually to add the interstitial URL in the HLS playlist.
Jez was asking why HLS, so I can talk a little bit about that. HLS is just the most recent streaming protocol, and it, instead of sending a long connection, it actually sends little chunk of data. It's more appropriate for mobile device typically because they can switch the source of their connection between Wi-Fi and mobile network. It works in the subway if you live in Paris typically. But it's also, and that's why I wanted to ask you that, Mihai, because HLS is a very complex protocol. It's not just a protocol. It's like a set of standards that go from the transport to the content to a lot of things. Typically for us, I think we gave up doing low latency HLS because the amount of things you need to support is way beyond the scope of our application. You know, it's things like connection with the network interface, all that. So for us, interstitial, lately we've added is the capacity to insert arbitrary HLS tags in your playlist because we decided we can't really implement everything, but we're going to give the user the capacity. So if y'all ever want to use Liquidshop for HLS, if it's a good fit, what we're hoping is that those kind of flexible implementation would help you insert that when you need it.
Yeah, there's another question here on the chat. I don't care what ads you serve, but do place the ad here. Actually, it's not like that. I mean, that URL, it's very similar with the vast call that player will do. So the player may augment the URL call with any arguments. So the ads delivered by the audio SSP will be the same ads that are going to be delivered through a vast call. So we'll have all the contextual information that is allowed to use. So it is not a change from a vast code or a downgrading functionalities.